Brett Favre was talking to a committee in Washington, D.C. Was that like was it a Senate committee, or I'm not sure what the...
He was appearing before the House Ways and Means Committee.
Okay.
Not sure exactly what they do or what they're for, but it was a hearing on welfare reform. As you guys know, Brett Favre was in the news recently, in the not too distant past, for allegedly, scamming some people out of welfare money. We'll put it that way.
Like, it's the lowest of low.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
We gotta say allegedly because he'll sue you, Rob.
Yeah,
Ask Shannon Sharp about that.
It's the lowest of the low. Like, the people need it the most get ripped off. You know what I mean? The money's earmarked for people on welfare. And we know Brett Favre made millions in his career and all this other stuff. It's a bad look.
Right. So, if you remember that story, approximately $77 million in funds, which are earmarked for poor families, were diverted to other individuals, obviously not the welfare recipients, and allegedly Brett Favre was one of those people. Well, he spoke at that hearing today, and in the middle of his testimony, whether intentionally or not, dropped the bombshell. Take a listen.
Facility at Southern Miss, the one that's gotten all the publicity. I wanted to help my alma mater and benefit the community. Southern Miss introduced me to the nonprofit to see if they could help with the funding. I had no way of knowing that there was anything wrong with how the state funded the project, especially since it was publicly approved by many state agencies and multiple attorneys, including the Attorney General. Sadly, I also lost an investment in a company that I believed was developing a breakthrough concussion drug I thought would help others. And I'm sure you'll understand why it's too late for me, because I've recently been diagnosed with Parkinson's.
That was the bomb he dropped in the middle of this. First of all, I'm going to say this. Brett's trying to act like he had no idea, and the other people have already pleaded guilty. Like, they pleaded guilty.
You beat me to it. I was just about to say.
Okay, so they pleaded guilty, like they knew that they were doing something. And they have text messages from Brett Favre where he's asking, is there any way that the media could find out about this or what? So if you didn't know, you wouldn't be asking that. If this was just above board and you were just trying to get money or whatever, he knows a lot of rich people. You want to build a volleyball facility to your alma mater, your daughter's school, or whatever it is, get some money, raise money. You got a lot of wealthy friends. Have a golf outing, okay?
Yep.
But to act like he didn't know what was going on is just beyond me. I'm shocked that there had been no criminal charges against him, and that's because of his celebrity. But I'll say this, and if he has Parkinson's, which I have no reason to doubt that he doesn't, I'm sad for that, and it's a shame. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if that needed to be dropped in. That sounded like a sympathy where, hey, you guys are coming down on me because I stole millions of dollars, or I was a part of, allegedly, where $77 million were diverted, and I'm going to make you feel bad for me right now. I'm going to put this out there because the headlines everywhere is what? Brett Favre reveals he has was diagnosed with Parkinson's. That's the headline. Not that Brett Favre didn't sound believable or was called to the carpet and it is a mound of trouble.
You could argue, and we want to make sure we're very clear because there are people as we speak listening to us, watching us on YouTube, downloading the podcast, who either themselves or their family members are dealing with Parkinson's. So we want to first say that is a serious disease, and that is obviously a heartbreaking diagnosis for a family.
No doubt. That ain't even an issue.
That ain't even an issue.
Yep.
But the thing you could say also that happened here, you just mentioned, Rob, stealing money from the poor in the poorest state, mind you.
Yes.
Of the United States, Mississippi. The poorest state. It seems like, once again, Brett was participatory in stealing again.
Only
but
because
in this case, stealing a moment.
He did take the moment. He stole the moment.
He stole the moment where he could say, look, I was a part of this. I didn't fully know. Maybe he could say that I didn't know everything, but I was a part of it. We're sad to hear what happened. The people didn't deserve this. The great state that has been so great to me, that has upheld me as the poster boy of the state. I apologize. And for that, right? Tell him I've gone through my own issues with concussions because that was part of the conversation as well. say for a later date you have this. But he stole this moment to try and rectify things. He stole this opportunity.
Was it to rectify it or to cloud it?
Well, no, I'm saying that it could have been.
Right,
He stole a moment where it could have been to rectify. Stole a moment where it could have been, hey, this is what happened. This was my part in this. And here's, I'm hoping to be a part of the solution, right? That's what that could have been. Instead, it's a throw-in line at the last second of, hey, everything's going on. I didn't even know, and how can I be a part? I wouldn't do that. And by the way, hey, and if anybody, we've all, whether it was your parents, maybe it's your lady, maybe it's your teacher, you've been in that situation where you're about to get in trouble, and you try to throw something in.
Hey, my grandmother died last
if you
night.
throw it's your teacher, I'm going through, my parents are getting a divorce. What they got to do with the situation? You just say it because you want to get it off of you. And again, very serious diagnosis. Feels like he did that.
Yeah, it just didn't feel it didn't feel right in that spot and that moment. I just felt like that was a diversionary tactic so that the story was spun about his health diagnosis, which of course people are going to care about. You're talking about one of the all-time great quarterbacks. What did he win? Three MVPs in a row? He won 3 MVPs. He shared one of them, but he won 3 MVPs in a row.
Incredible.
So he's a legendary figure. And he talked about what he's gone through and the shame and all the other stuff, and rightfully so. If you have allegations that you're stealing from the poorest people
in our
around.
Union. And also, Rob, it's accompanied with other things, right? It's accompanied with infidelity, which is a personal, between them, but it got so public. It happened again. All this other stuff, pictures. So it's just like a boom, 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 boom. Now you're taking money, or at least being a part of taking money from the poorest people in our country. It's like, man. So again, it was an opportunity, at least it seems, to try to be a part of the solution, right? Just say, look, man, I want to I want to find a way to help the people, to rectify, to own, to right my wrongs, raise my hand and say, your boy was guilty in this facet, and then try to move it forward. But it was a throwaway line, and I almost want to have Rob G play it again because it was like it just kind of randomly was tossed in, and it would throw you for a loop because if you're in this committee hearing, you're like, this is some serious stuff we're trying to have a conversation. Then like, wait, I don't even know, what am I supposed to do? I don't even know what to do with this information.
Let me ask you this, and I'm dead serious. If I was one of the people in the committee, and they were able to ask questions, that they were able to ask Brett Favre questions during this thing. It's not like he just has his say and that's the end of it, because they could ask questions. I would have at that point, and I'm not even second guess or thought about it 3 hours later or whatever. I would have said, Mr. Favre, when was this diagnosis? Who's your doctor? When did, seriously, so that he could at least make it clear, this happened recently, and he can you know what I mean? Justify.
Are you saying to prove to say this had nothing to do with anything else?
Right. No, just the idea that when did you get the diagnosis?
Or you're saying maybe there's a chance he's just making something up?
I'm hoping that he's not going to make up Parkinson's. I'm okay, but if he told us, because you put the onus on him to tell us exactly. He said, I recently.
Yeah.
So if you told me this was a year ago and you got to give a doctor's name or a hospital, where'd you go? It puts a little onus on you because that could be checked out. Do you see what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, to be fact checked. Yeah.
Not. I'm saying
not saying you know, but just we want the details. Yeah.
But details are very important because it keeps you honest. You know, because right away, if you give me any phony dates or doctors or hospitals, and then they find out about that, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can't play that card.
Listen, diagnosis separate. It's a horrible situation. We wouldn't wish that on our worst enemies, right? This is a serious disease. It's very sad. It's very challenging. It's heartbreaking to hear. But he also has proven to not necessarily be a trustworthy individual. So you can understand why someone would go,
why did he say it then?
The
now?
timing.
Yes.
Not now. He didn't have a press conference just outside of his house, outside of the hospital. Hey, I just want to address this thing on a random, it was like, what in the middle, it's kind of a throwaway line, just like, got this, my family.
And the headlines. Look at the headlines all over on the internet.
And he's enjoyed things being about him. So again, we're separating the diagnosis. I just want to keep reiterating that because
and
you know
we're
how
not
this goes.
saying that he's
Elijah's our YouTube. He's gonna throw everything up. You know, somebody's gonna want to pluck the one part.
No,
Look at these guys so heartless. You know, it'll be somebody who loves Brett Favre, Mississippi.
No, we're not even saying
that's not what we're
that.
saying. Well, all we're saying is it was a very interesting time to drop it. A very serious diagnosis. And, you know, you would think he would separate. Got this going on. Let's address this committee. I want to separate this and address the people and let them know this. So he didn't. He chose. It became about this. We'll see where it goes. To your point, we'll see if we get more information about this, if he speaks about it more. I know he's been open about concussions. He talked back in 2018.
He even said that he wouldn't, if he had boys, he would not let them play football. Like he talked about that, the toll on his body and what he's been through, which I have a lot of respect. A great football player to say, I wouldn't let my sons play football.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how hard that is to say?
Well, you know, it's weird. It's interesting. A lot of former
says
players,
the same too.
A lot of former players say that, but if you then follow up and say, well, would you do it all again? They always say yes.
Yeah, they do it.
I've never met someone who has said, no, I wouldn't do it again. But would you let your son play? I've met a lot who say no, or they'll say, I make him wait till high school. Let's take some calls on this, Rob.
877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369. It's real simple. Do you believe Brett Favre as far as the Parkinson's diagnosis, like not whether he has it or not? I'm not going to go down that road.
Did you like the timing?
The timing of it is what I have the biggest issue with. It's the timing of it because I'm not a doctor, nobody knows, and I'm not gonna sit here on a radio from Los Angeles telling somebody what they have and don't have.
Right.
That is not what we're doing. But the timing, was that the right place to bring that up when we're talking about stealing millions of dollars from poor people? That's what this was about. I would rather him have said, I did not do this and I have proof that I didn't do it or whatever it is.